Okay, so welcome back to this course. So in our previous videos, we have set up our login and sign up functionality and also logout functionality. And now we have one more feature in this application, that is forgot password. Okay. So first of all, I have to add a link under this field, password field. I have to add a link here for forgot password. Okay. So I simply go back to Visual Studio and go to the login.ejs. And just after this password, I have to add a link here. So type here a, which goes to /forgot. And I type here forgot password, and we also have to give it a class of bootstrap that says float right, and also I have to give it a margin top of 0 and margin bottom of 3, like that. And let's make it red, so I simply type here text danger. Simply save it, and now if I go back and reload that, you can see that I have a new option here that says forgot password. Okay, so just remove this O from here, like that. Okay, so first of all, I have to create a new EJS file that has a field for this forgot password. So I simply click on this views and create a new file with the name forgot.ejs. And in it, first of all, I include these partials, header and footer. Simply go back to my Sublime and I simply copy it from here, Control X, and I simply go back and paste them right here. Okay, so simply format the document, and also I have to add here messages. So I simply copy it from here and I paste it right here. Okay, so simply save that, and let's create a route for that. So I simply go back to my users.js, and in here, after this logout, router.get to /forgot, we have to render the template that says res.render the forgot. Okay, so now if I simply save that and I go back to my this one, reload that and go to forgot password, this page is not working. Let me go back, and we have to use here render. Okay, so now if I save it and go back to my browser and reload that, and now you can see that we have a button here that says we have a form here that contains forgot password field and email, and then we have to send that email to that user. Okay, and this is back to login, basically the link. Okay, so now in this video we're going to set up functionality that will only send the email to the user, and we will handle our tokens and all that expiration time in our next video. Okay, so simply I go back to my Visual Studio Code, I go close this one, and now we have to write a big piece of code, so you have to pay attention on that. First of all, I type here comment, and I type here routes to handle forgot password. We have to write a long piece of code to make it happen. First of all, I type here router.post, and then we have to send a post request to /forgot. Okay, and then after that I have to pass a callback here that says request response and also the next. Okay, and after that, first of all, we have to type here let recovery email. First of all, create a variable here, recovery password should be null at start, and now we are going to use the async.waterfall method. Basically, this method helps us to run our piece of code asynchronously, and it will calls the function one after the other. We basically have to pass the array of functions. For example, if I type here async.waterfall, and then in this method we have to pass the array of functions. Okay, so in this array we will pass functions step by step, and after that here we have to basically catch an error if there is any in this process. Okay, so I simply type here if error, then simply res dot redirect to slash forgot, like that. And oops, I removed this from here. Okay, so this is basically runs our piece of code asynchronously, and we have to pass this array of functions in this waterfall model. Okay, so we have to pass 2 or 3 functions step by step that will be executed step by step. Okay, so this is array of function that we pass in this waterfall method. Okay, first of all I type here a method with arrow function. Now first of all we have to generate a token for that user. Okay, so that unique token will handle that user request. Okay, so for that we first of all have to use the crypto package that we have just imported, that we have just required in our first video. Okay, so to use that we have to write a piece of code that says that crypto dot random bytes make sure that the crypto is present above here. So we first of all have to type here const crypto equals to require. Basically you don't have to install this package, because when I have installed that I get a message that this package is deprecated, and now this is a part of Node.js. We just have to require that, we don't have to install that. Okay, also I have to use a sync package which I have just installed equals to require, and after that I have to also use the node mailer to send the emails. So I simply type here const node mailer equals to require. Now I tell you that this piece of code is a little bit confusing, but you have to understand it because it is one of the most important part of authentication, that which is forgot password. Okay, so I simply scroll down to my this route. Here we have to generate random bytes to generate a token. So I simply type here crypto.random bytes, and we have to pass here the number of bytes. So I simply type here 20. Then you have to pass a callback here that will contains error or buff. You can type anything here. Buff basically stands for buffer. It is part of file handling basically. So I simply type here let token which you have to generate for that user. We have to convert that the buffer to the string. So I simply type here to string, and I pass here the hex which stands for hexadecimal. Okay, and after that we have to type here done parameter. You can type anything here and just call that here with error and token, like that. Okay, so after this I have to basically method that contains token and the second parameter which is done. So this is our second method. This is our first method. We have just used this arrays of method in this waterfall method. This is our first method and this is our second one. Okay, so in this first of all I have to find a user with that email address. Okay, so first of all I type here user dot find one. I will find that user with that email address. So I simply type here email should be request dot body dot email that user passed in the forgot form. Okay, so we find that user in here, and if we find that, then this method returns a promise. So I type here user, and in here if I first of all check if not user, means that if user doesn't exist, then we have to send a flash message that will says error, and I simply type here user does not with this email, like that. Okay, and after that I have to return from it res dot redirect, because if it is wrong then we don't have to move further, we simply have to redirect back and return from here. So simply type here forgot, like that. Okay, so if we check that, first of all we search that user with this email, and then after that we simply check that if user doesn't exist, and we simply send a message back that user does not exist with this email. But if the user exists, then we have to, first of all we have to go back to our user schema and type 2 more things in that schema. Okay, so I simply go back to my models and user model.js, and in here first of all I have to type reset password token, which should be string, and the second should be reset password expires, and that should be date. Okay, so we know that we have to send a unique token to each user that requests the forgot password. Okay, so we have to keep that reset password token in that user schema, and we also have to set up the expiry time, that after 30 minutes we have to expire that link, which is the reset link. Okay, so for that purpose we have to also store the date in that user schema. Okay, so this is reset password expires. Simply save that and close it. I go back to my users.js file and I simply type here user dot reset password token, should be the token that we have generated at the top in the first method, and also we have to set up the expiry time. So I simply type here user dot reset password expires, and we set it to date dot now, and this method will give us the current date, and then we simply add it 180, and it should be 30 minutes. So we have to type here 1 2 3 4 and 5. Okay, so this should be equals to 1/2 hours. Okay, so we have to make this link, which is the reset link, active for just 30 minutes. Okay, so after 30 minutes the link will be expired. Okay, so this is the milliseconds that will be equal to 1.2 hours. Okay, if we type here 36, then it should be 1 hour, and when we divide it by 2 then it should be 18, and this basically 5 zeros. So we have set up our token, we have set up the expiry time, and now we have to simply save that token. So I simply type here user dot save, and if there is some error then we'll simply type here error token and the user, like that. Okay, and after that I have to type here dot catch to catch any error. So I simply type here request dot flash, and here should be the error message, and we will say that there is some error, and just concatenate that error, and we will simply redirect to /forgot, like that. Okay, so what we have done here is, first of all we have generated a token in this function, and then we have simply searched the user in the database, and if the user exists then we have to generate a password token and the expiry time for that, and then save that in the database. Okay, and now we have to basically send email to that user. Okay, so for that we have to use the node mailer. Okay, so let's use that in our third method. I put a comma here and type another method here that should contain token and the user. Okay, and I simply type here. Now we are going to use SMTP. SMTP, which basically stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Okay, so basically this helps us to send emails. As we know that there is a HTTP email that stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So this is SMTP, that stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. That this is protocol that help us to send emails. Okay, so for that I simply remove it from here and type here let SMTP transport, you can type anything here, equals to node mailer dot create transport. We have to transport our email, and then after that I simply pass an object here. First of all, we have to use this service. Okay, type here service, and I want to use the service that is Gmail. Okay, so in this course we are going to use Gmail to send our emails. Okay, so service is Gmail, and then we have to provide here a second parameter as auth. Okay, auth means that we have to provide email and password of that account that will send email to the other user. Okay, so in this case we have to pass our own username and password. So simply type here user, and there should be email here, and there should be password that should be here. Okay, so we can write our email here and the password here, but it is not a good idea to write our secret data here. Okay, so for that we have already created a file called config.env, and in this file we are going to create two variables that use email and password. Okay, so I simply go here and type here Gmail email. Now I'm going to type my email address that I don't actually use. So I simply type here my apkforest@gmail.com. This is one of my old email. And then after that I type here Gmail password. Okay, so it is just like okay, so we have set up our Gmail email and Gmail password. Okay, simply save this config file and close that, and instead writing here the email, I simply type here process.env.gmail email, and here I type process.env.gmail password, like that. Okay, so we have create a transport. We provide two things here, two parameters. First one is this service that is Gmail. Then after that we have provided the authentication of that account from which we want to send emails. Okay, so we have provided our email and password here, and after that we have to set up the mail options. Okay, so first of all I type here let mail options, the options that we should need. So first of all we want to send the email to the user, so I type here user.email. I want to send email to that email address that user will provide in the box. Okay, so user.email, and after that I have to type here from which is going to send the email. So for example I type here my name for this video, and then I type my email address. For example, okay, so this is to the user from which is sending the email, and after that we have to type the subject. Subject should be like we say here recovery email from auth project, like that, just for this video. And after that we have to create the body of that email. So for that I simply type here please click the following link to recover your password. And then I just move to the new line by pressing here /n and /n. Just I concatenate here strings, and I type here HTTP. Now let's build the link. First of all, we have to type HTTP, and then we have to provide the host here. So for that, I simply concatenate here request dot headers dot, and we have to use here host. Okay, so HTTP, then the host, which is in this case localhost, and then we have to create a link here /reset/ the token. Okay, so I can concatenate here token, and then I simply move to the new line, and I will say that if you did not request this, please ignore this email, like that. Okay, so this is our options that we will send to the user. First of all, to, which should be the email of that user, then from, that is sending the email, then the subject, this one, and then it body of that text. Okay, so here this line is important. First of all, we have typed the HTTP protocol, then the request.headers.host, which is basically the domain. In this case, this is localhost. Okay, and then /reset/ that token. Okay, so we send this to our user. Okay, so now everything is ready, and at last we have to send this email, we have to push this email. So for that, I simply type a single line here that says SMTP transport, which is a variable that we have created at the top, and we type here dot send mail. Okay, and along that we have to pass the mail options, and then a callback for the error. Okay, in this we say that request.flash, and we say that success message email send with further instructions, please check that, like that. Okay, and after that we have to redirect to /forgot. Okay, so our first method is now ready to use. This is a giant piece of code. You can see that here. This giant piece of code will only send the recovery email. So without explaining that, let's first of all test it. Okay, so I simply save that, and also I have to go to my forgot.ejs and make sure that it sent request to /forgot. Okay, so first of all, you make sure that you provide your username and password, email and password in the config.env file. And okay, so first of all, I go to my account which I am logged in, which is basically the apkforest@gmail.com, and you have to open this link first of all that says that myaccount.google.com/less-secure-app. Okay, so basically we first of all have to allow it to use the less secure app. Okay, you can see that allow less secure app off. We first of all have to turn it on, like that. Okay, so now we can send the emails. So first of all, we know that we have provided the wrong email address for our first user, so let's save that and create a new user. I go back and just reload that and go to sign up. First of all, I type here my name again, then I have to type here the original basically email that works. Okay, so for that I simply go to gmail.com and grab my email from there. Okay, and name should be this one, and my email should be copied from here. Copy that and I paste it right here. Okay, and password should be my name, Ghulam, and then click on register. you can see that account created successfully. Okay, so now let's log in with that email address and the password. Click on login from here. You can see that I am successfully logged in. Okay, so if I go back and log out, for example, I forgot my password, so I simply click on forgot password and then I enter my email here. First of all, I enter wrong email, like I just simply type here some text like this at gmail.com. I click on send email. You can see that user does not exist with this email. Okay, so this is great, our validation is working properly here. Okay, so now enters the email that basically exists in our database. Now when I click on the send email, you will see a message here, email sent with further instructions, please check that. Okay, so now if you go back to our Gmail account, you can see an email here from Ghulam Abbas. When I open it, you will see here, please click the following link to recover your password. You can see that http localhost 3000/reset and / this giant token. Okay, if you did not request this, please ignore this email. You can see that from this one and to this and all the subject which is here. Okay, so basically our first function is working, that will send the forgot password email. Okay, so in our next video we are going to write our remaining function that will basically reset the new password. Okay, so I just repeat this function, this giant function once again. Okay, I know that this is too much, but you have to understand that this is one of the most important component of authentication. Okay, this is not difficult, but this is just a bit long code and just confusing. Okay, first of all, you have this post request that goes to /forgot, and you can see that there is a async.waterfall method that basically runs array of functions asynchronously. First of all, we have this method here in this array that basically generates a token by using this crypto library. Okay, then we have a token in here. After that, in the second method here, we first of all find the user by email. Okay, if we find that email, then if we first of all have to check that if the user does not exist, then we simply pass this flash message that user does not exist with this email. And if user exists, then first of all we have to pass this token to our user schema to save this token in our database, and after that we have to save this expiration time in our database. Okay, so we have to expire that link after 30 minutes, and we are going to implement all that functionality in our next videos. Okay, and after that, after creating this, we simply save our user, and if there is some error, we will simply type that in this catch block. And after this function, we have our third and last function that basically sends the email. Okay, we have used the STMP, simple mail transfer protocol, to send the email by using the node mailer. Okay, so we created a variable with this name, then we call the method node mailer.create transport, and in this we have passed two parameters. First of all, service that we're using, which is Gmail, and after that the auth, we have to pass our username and password for that account that will send the emails to other users. Okay, and then we have to create an object that contains all the options that we want to send along the email. Okay, first of all, we want to send email to user.email, which is right now in our database, then from, then the subject, and then the text. Okay, so in the text, the second line is more important. First of all, we have typed here the protocol HTTP, then we have passed here the host, in this case it is localhost, then /reset, then / this giant token. Okay, and after that we simply call this method that is send mail with these mail options, and if it is successful, then we simply send a flash message that email sends with further instructions, please check that. Okay, and that's it. So in this video we have just set up a functionality that will send the forgot email to our user. Okay, so in our next video we are going to handle that, how we can basically handle that link to reset our password. So I will see you in the next video.